Okay, so yeah, before we go into the session, like let's start by discussing a puzzle that we had seen sometime before. Some of you might have solved it, but I guess a lot of you had tried it but couldn't solve it. So let's go through the puzzle once. The question goes like this. Uh, there's CSK in the IPL and there are 10 matches in the IPL. What is the minimum number of matches that a team needs to win, irrespective of which matches they exactly win and irrespective of what happens with the other teams in the tournament, such that the team goes into the playoffs. So here we chose CSK because we're in IIT Madras. So that's the question. So any of you who has not solved it before but has an idea to solve, or you want to think about it, you just raise your hand. Those are solved, like you can just not say anything right now so that you don't ruin the fun for others. So I'll maybe give a couple of minutes, like those who have not solved it can think about how you can try to solve the question, or those who have got it wrong as well. So if any of you gets the solution for the first time now, can feel free to raise your hand and I'll give you allow mic access. So if you, is everyone clear about the question? Does anyone have a doubt on what the question is? If you have a doubt in the question, please raise your hand now. Like some case that you have a doubt about. Or okay, I see no hands raised. So, cool. Okay, so is the question so hard that everyone is thinking, or I am audible, right? Maybe just put a yes in the chat if I'm audible. Okay, yeah, I am audible. Cool. Okay. Okay, cool. Yeah, so why? Okay, so no response. So anyone who has solved the question and would like to share your solution with others? So if you're like that also, you can raise your hand. Come on. Oh, no one solved the question or what? Yeah, there are 27 people who have solved the question. Okay. So I guess most of you are shy. So okay, maybe I'll go through the solution myself. So you have 10 teams in the tournament, and out of the 10 teams, only 4 are going to qualify, and each team plays the other team twice. So you're going to have n into n minus 1 by 2 nc2 matches times 2. So that will be 10 into 9, and you're going to have 90 matches. Right? So till this point, any doubts that you're going to have 90 matches in the tournament? Okay, we are cool there. Now let's know maybe start with a, so CSK will play 18 matches because it's going to play 2 matches with every team in the tournament. So let's maybe try and guess numbers. So totally we play 18 matches. Would 9 be enough? So with 9 we can try to construct a counter example to it or try to prove that 9 is the answer. So let's say you have teams 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we can just forget about the rest of them. 6, 7, just write for names, 9 and 10. We have 10 teams. So can 9 possibly be the answer? So to disprove it, let's try to think of worst case scenario kind of where CSK wins a lot of matches, but still it couldn't get into the top 4. So in that case, CSK will be in the 5th position. And since CSK in the 5th position, and we want the top 5 teams to have won a lot of matches, what we can do is we can make teams 6 to 10 lose all their matches with 1 to 5. So if any team from this bracket faces off with any team from this bracket, the top bracket teams win and the bottom bracket teams lose. So for example, 4, if it plays with any of these teams, it will always win. So if you see that way, each team on the top bracket will win 10 matches because they'll play 2 matches with each of these teams and they will win those matches. So you could have something like 10, 10, 10, 10, 10. And now in this, if we make 1 beat all of 2, 3, 4, 5, 2 beat all of 3, 4, 5, 3 beat 4 and 5, 4 beats 5. If we form that kind of a points table, in that case, first team would have scored 18 points, second would have scored 16 points, third would have scored 14 points, fourth would have scored 12 points, and the fifth team will be of 10 points. So from here we can clearly see that 9 is not a possible answer because there is a case where 10 itself is not sufficient. Any doubts on why 10 is not sufficient? Okay. Okay. So do you guys want more time to think? Okay. If you guys want more time, raise your hand. Why is everyone so not responsive? Tired after this? Okay. Yeah. I guess there's one person who wants to think. Okay. Maybe I'll give a couple more minutes. Oh, you have a solution? She Likita. Okay. Padam, do you have a solution or do you want some more time to think? Oh, okay. I'll give you unmute. Huh. Padam, can you unmute now? Okay. I can't hear you. Can others hear him? Okay. I guess you can put it in the chat as well, like more time or have solution. Something like that. Okay. We can see your hands raised, but okay. More time to think. Cool, cool. Okay, so it's 2:13 now. Maybe we'll wait till 2:16, and after that, whoever has any idea, you can try to present your idea, and we'll sharpen it to the right answer. So I guess like with what we did right now, you might have got an idea of in what direction we can approach the problem to get the answer. So try to think along those lines. Kunal, we're just discussing a problem. So in the PS2 that was shared with you guys, this is the I problem. Can CSK qualify this time? So we're discussing this problem. The essence of the problem is, so you're a CSK fan and you want to find the minimum number of matches that CSK has to win in the tournament, irrespective of who they defeat, who they lose to, and irrespective of what happens with the all other matches. If CSK wins X matches, they should always get a playoff spot. And you can also make an assumption that CSK will always have the highest net run rate. So if all teams finish with the same points, then you can assume that CSK will be on the top of the teams that finish with the same points. And yeah, irrespective of if they win X matches, irrespective of what the exact win-loss history is, CSK should be able to qualify to the playoffs. So what we also discussed is we're just trying to check what the answer could be. We discussed if 9 matches is possible as an answer. So for that case, we got a counterexample where all the teams in this bracket defeat all the teams in this bracket. So all the top 5 teams get 10 points. Then we can just make 1 defeat everyone below him, 2 defeat everyone below him, and so on. In that case, CSK gets 10 points, but even 10 is not enough to get into the top 4. Okay, so I have 11. Okay, PS4 was uploaded a couple of days ago. I guess you guys missed it. Not sure. Maybe we didn't announce it. So yeah, I'll talk about that as well. PS4 is PS4 on if else and loops is out. Not if else and loops, if else only. Just basic problems and if else is out. So I guess some of you have solved it, but many of you might not have noticed it in the groups. So you can go through these problems, and the same template that you've been using for PS3 you can use for it as well, and try to solve these problems up. Yeah, apologies from my side if we forgot to announce in the groups. Okay, so I got an answer 11 and 12. Okay, so we'll discuss if 11 and 12 are correct. So yeah. So for the case of 11, does anyone want to give a counter example that 11 is not enough? Like if you have, you can just raise your hand. If the other team isn't the one at fourth position, not qualified. Okay, I didn't get what Aditya was trying to say. Anyone has a counter example that you'd like to put in words? Please raise your hand for 11 or 12. If you think maybe those are not the answers. Right now, we know that the answer must be greater than 10 because we saw that 10 isn't enough. So some of your friends have said 11 and 12. Do you think they're the answers? Or if they're not, please raise your hand if you have a counter strategy. Like a different way that CSK wins 12 matches or 11 matches, but is still unable to qualify to the playoffs. Everyone has mic access, right? If you're unable to unmute, you can put it in the chat. Adin, would you like to elaborate on this? I didn't get what you meant by if the other team isn't the one at fourth position, then they would not qualify. Is Ananya, are you trying to speak? Not sure. Okay. Okay, I guess mic is working for someone, so that is a sure now. Okay. Something in the chat. If the first team for 11, if one team draws against, okay, there are no draws. There's only win or loss. Every match has win or loss, and each match assume it's only 1 point for now. Okay, yes, for 11, huh? Okay, I guess yeah, please don't unmute unnecessarily. I guess mics are working now, so take care of your mics so that they don't interrupt the session. Can I unmute? So 11, huh? Okay. 11 meaning here 11 is not the number of points. 11 is the number of matches the team has won here. Like these are the number of matches teams have won. Each team will play 18 matches totally because 2 with each team, like a home match and an away match. Okay, so if the first team scores 17 and loses a match to CSK, and CSK loses, okay, so I will try to write that up. Okay, so if so, yeah, 11 points to qualify. The team at fourth should also have 11 points. Okay, yeah, one possibility is 10 plus 1, 10 plus 1, like you said. But there's a possibility that CSK won one match from team 3 or 2. Okay, and okay. So yeah, I guess most of you are saying answer has to be more than 11. Okay, someone has said 11. Maybe I'll go with the counter to 11. Yeah. So the counter example that I have for 11 is, we will assume teams 1 to 5 beat teams 6 to 10. So all these teams will be at 10 points. Now what I'll do is team 1 beats 2, 3 and 4. Right? So that will give them 6 marks. Because 2 matches each team beats 2, 3 and 4. So they'll get 6 points. So 10 plus 6, 16. Now team 1 loses to CSK in both their matches. So CSK will get a plus 2. So this is the state right now, 10 plus 6, 10 plus 2. Now team 2 beats 3, 4, 5. So that will give them 10 plus 3, 4, 5 means I can give them 6. Now team 3 and team 4 both beat CSK. They'll get 2 points each. And they'll have to play 2 matches among themselves, right? They'll win 1 and lose 1. So 3 beats 4 once, 4 beats 3 once. In that case, you have a plus 1 and a plus 1. So in this case, CSK scored 12 points but that wasn't enough to come in the top 4. Is the counter example? Okay. Sai Vinith said by that logic, even 13 wouldn't be sufficient. So do you think 14 would be sufficient then? Or do you think 14 is also not sufficient? Okay, if possible, you can unmute. Yeah, 11 is not. Is everyone clear about why 11 is not the answer? Because 12 itself can't be the answer, so 11 is also not the answer. That's all. And for why 12 is not the answer? First team loses to CSK twice, but defeats 2, 3, and 4. Second team loses only to the first team, defeats 3, 4, 5. Third team and fourth team, they both defeat CSK, but they win one, lose one against each other. So in that case, CSK will have 12 points, but all the teams above CSK will have more than equal to 13 points. Right? Now, okay, so Sai Vineet, can you unmute? Is it possible if you unmute?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. So what do you think the answer is?
I mean, I thought of a way where 13 wouldn't be sufficient, but
Okay,
I
then
don't
can
know
you
if I
tell the
can
method?
prove. Yeah, sure.
Huh.
So this is very close to ideal scenario where one team wins a match and loses the other.
Okay.
Except when CSK plays the first team, it loses 2 matches instead of winning one.
Okay.
So that puts second, third, and fourth teams on equal points, and CSK is just behind.
Okay, so you're saying from 1 to 5, all teams play each other and we take 1 win, 1 loss, except for the match between 1 and CSK.
Yeah.
So 1 and CSK, 1 wins twice. So 1 will win 1 match against 2, 1 against 3, 1 against 4, and 2 against CSK. So I'll give them 5 points. 2 would have won 1 match against every team, so 4, and 3 also plus 4, 4 also plus 4. But CSK would have won only 3 matches, 1 with 2, 1 with 3, and 1 with 4. With 1 would have lost both matches. So in that case, CSK has 13 points, but still it is not enough for CSK to go into the playoffs. Yeah, so you're right on that. So do you think 14 is the answer? If you win 14, they'll have to, qualify to the playoffs?
I mean, I can't think of a way to disprove it. So yeah.
Okay. Okay, cool. So anyone thinks 14 is not the answer? 15. They have to win 15 matches to get in. Okay, I guess no one. So maybe I'll just show why 14 is the answer. So what we'll do is let us assume 14 is not the answer. So let us assume CSK won 14 matches, but then in some case, in some win-loss distribution, they couldn't end up in the top 4. So that means the top 4 teams have won greater than or equal to 15 matches, right? Only in that case, CSK can't be in the top 4. Now, if they won greater than or equal to 15 matches, each team has lost less than or equal to 3 matches. So because of this, the top 4 teams totally, they would have totally lost less than or equal to 12 matches. Right? Is everyone cool with this? Why the top 4 teams totally would have lost only less than or equal to 12 matches? Okay, so if you guys don't ask the doubts, I'll have to assume you don't have. So even if it's a very silly doubt, like why this is 3 is there, this 3 is there because total number of matches is 18. So if you win at least 15 matches, you will lose at most 3 matches. So because of that, the top 4 teams totally would have lost only less than or equal to 12 matches. Now, the top 4 teams play how many matches against each other? They'll play 12 matches against each other. So one will play with 2, 3, 4, 2 matches. 2 will play with 3, 4, 3 will play with 4. 6 into 2, 12 matches. So they play 12 matches amongst each other. And in those 12 matches, there are going to be 12 winners and 12 losers. So 12 wins and 12 losses. So in that itself, 12 losses are covered. Now, CSK, we are assuming, is winning 14 matches. They would have won 10. In the best case scenario, we can take that they would have won 10 matches against all these teams. So they should have won 4 matches out of 8 among with these teams. So with 1 to 4, they will play 8 matches. Out of those, they should have won at least 4 matches. Only then they can win totally 14, which means that is 4 losses for the top 4 teams. So 4 losses plus 12 losses is 16 losses. So we showed that teams 1 to 4 must have a total loss count of at least 16. But then we also, in another way, we got that their total loss count should be less than or equal to 12. So this is a contradiction, and because of that, we can say that 14 is the answer. Here we are showing that if they win 14, they will qualify. I also have to show if they win 13, they don't qualify. Only then 14 is the answer to this question. I have already shown that 13 is not the answer with Sai Vineet's example. So any doubts? Yeah. So any doubts
How
in the
that 12
solution?
the last came? In the
Huh?
last, that 12 is
Huh?
there, no? Like 4 plus 12. So how that 12
Huh?
came, I didn't get it.
Okay. So teams 1 to 4 will play 12 matches amongst each other, right? One will play with 2, 2 will play with 3, 3 will play with 4, 4 will play with 2, 4 will play with 1, so on. Right? So these 4 teams will
Yes.
play some matches amongst each other. Number of matches for that will be 4 into 3, right? One, you can take like one home team, one away team. So 4 into 3, there will be 12 matches that they play amongst each other, right?
Yes.
So now, each of these 12 matches, there will be 12 wins and 12 losses, right? Wins also are going to go to the top 4 team, losses also going to go to the top 4 teams, right? Because in each match,
Yeah.
one team should lose.
Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah, thanks.
So
Thanks.
that those 12 matches. Cool. So if you have doubts like this, just feel free to raise your hand or unmute yourself. So any doubts on the solution? No. Okay. Okay. So I guess as of now, you don't have doubts. If you feel okay, this is a bit heavy, maybe I need to time to process. Don't worry. We have also put up these solutions in Code Forces as well. So in Code Forces, when you enter the group, this is how your screen looks. You can go to blog, and in blog you have the solutions for PS1 and PS right now. We'll upload solutions for other problems as well. So for example, this can CSK qualifiers 10. Just click on solution and you will have the solution like this. So maybe this problem, for some problems we have a solution video. For some problems you have given text. So even if you want to look at the solution again, you can look at the blog and you know get the solution as well. That's it. Yes. Okay, so let's move on to some coding part. So in the last session, we had done some if else. So maybe let's do a bit of revision. So, okay. Aliens can see my code block set. If you can see my code blocks, please raise your hand. There's a nice way to take attendance. If you can see my code block screen, raise your hand. Okay, 3, 5, 4. Only 5 people are in the session. 17 in session. Okay, totally it says 104. 20. Okay, I guess enough people are raised. I'll go to the thing. So now let's maybe do a bit of revision. So let's say we take int n equal to 4. I'm declaring an integer variable n and giving it the value of 4. Now, if n greater than 5, out more than 5, else out less than 5. So in this case, what will be the output? You can just put on the chat whether more or less. So if I press this built-in run button on code blocks, what will be the output that I get on my screen? It's a very simple problem, so it might feel like a silly problem as well. So okay, Anurag has said less than 5. Everyone agrees with Anurag? Okay, I guess everyone agrees. You can verify it once. And okay. It's taking some time, not sure. Okay, less than 5 came. So now if you have just one statement in this if block, you don't need to put curly braces as well. I guess some of you might know it. So I can even write this whatever I had written before this way. So instead of putting a curly braces, if you have only one statement, here we have only one statement in the if block. So if you have only one statement, you can avoid the curly braces. But then if you have two statements, see out, say, something else. In this case, you have to put the curly braces. So if you remove the curly braces, only this statement will be considered as part of the else block, and this won't be considered part of the else block. So you can try executing that. Okay, I guess I have to. Oh, here is less than 5. Maybe I'll change the condition to this. Oh, I guess you. Now, if RR was part of the block, then you should only get less than 5 as the output, but then that won't happen. You'll get less than 5 and as well, because this is now considered to be a separate statement from the if else block. So everyone is clear with just writing one statement, right, without brackets. So if you write without brackets, only the first statement will be considered as part of the else block, and after that it will be normal code. So it is like this. Writing this and writing cout over here are exactly the same. Okay, I guess no doubts in that. And okay, before that, in PS3, there was a problem called floor division, I think. Yeah. Okay, someone's talking. So if anyone's talking, it's like tell if you want to ask something, else I'll have to mute you guys. Okay, so this is problem floor division. I guess like number of solves was at 100 over here and then decreased to 75. So for this problem, you had to basically just print floor of x by y. So how many of you got this problem? Just raise your hand. Okay, maybe not got. How many of you attempted the problem but couldn't get it? Okay, I guess, yeah, question changed. Like how many of you attempted the problem but faced some issue? Okay, so Nevedya, okay, I guess changed. Palam, can you unmute? Okay, so what was the code that you had written? Like, can you just?
Hello.
Yeah, we can hear you, Palam.
Yeah.
Yeah, so can you tell your code what you had written so that like we can try to fix what is the issue in it?
I mean, I wrote different conditions like, for example, if x greater than equal to 0, and then inside that, if y greater than equal to 0, and all those conditions. Let me check.
Okay. So maybe I'll just go through one solution that people might have written, and let's try to debug that solution. So int xy, c in xy, we saw that for positive x and y, just x by y gave us the integer division, right? So cout x by y, and this gave us the integer division, which is floor division for when x and y are both positive. Example, suppose if I give input as 7 and okay, I guess it's a bit tough for me to manually unmute everyone, like mute everyone. So please take care of that. So if I give 7 and 3, floor of 7 by 3 is 2, and we got 2. Now what we can try doing is experiment the same thing, but with negative numbers as well. Positive numbers, x by y is working, so maybe it will be close for negative numbers. So let's try minus 7 and 3. So we got -2. This is not the floor, but okay. Let's try 7 and -3. We again got -2. And let's try -7, -3. We got 2. So on first sight, how this looks like is we had 7 by 3, it gave us 2. It looks like what C++ is doing is first it will just take the magnitude of x and y, it will do floor division, and after that whatever the sign of the result is, it will do appropriately. So suppose we give -7 by 3, first it will compute the sign has to be negative, then it will do mod of 7 by 3, which is going to be 2, so result came out to be -2. We can even try to the other numbers, so say -10 and 4. According to C++, we should get -2. We are getting -2. Suppose we try say 71 and -6. According to C++, we should get minus of mod 71 by 6, which is -11. We got -11. So in the case if we have suppose -7 by -3, in that case this is equal to 7 by 3, so we are getting the correct result. But then if x by y turns out to be a net negative number, then we are having some issues and we are getting the wrong answer. So is everyone clear with this sign calculation and x by y calculation part? Param, are you fine with this?
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Okay. So now how can we modify this to give the correct result for negative numbers as well? So we saw that if the final result is positive, so if it's -7 by -3 or 7 by 3, the answer came out to be correct because the sign was evaluated first and then mod x by mod y. This is the same as what we want. So if x and y are of, if x and y, or you can say x by y, the actual float division is positive, or you can even say non-negative because zero is also fine. It's non-negative. This is not actual C++ statement, but I'll just write for now. In that case, x by y gives us the correct result, so I can just print x by y. Right? So yeah, see out x by y. Now, else I'll have to do something. So in the case of say minus 7 by 3, or in the case of say minus 8 by 3, I have to do something else. So when will if x is negative and y is positive, when will this procedure of C++ give us the right answer? For minus 7 by 3, it gave us minus 2. For minus 8 by 3, it gave us minus 2. So for minus 9 by 3, what do you think the result will be? Can you just put in the chat? Yeah, okay, Sai Vinith has already figured out the answer, but okay. Minus 3. Yeah. So everyone agrees minus 9 by 3 will be minus 3? Okay, yeah. And similarly, if you try minus 10 by 3, that will also come out to be minus 3. So this gives you an idea of what's happening. If x is not divisible by y, then integer division will give you 2, but then the actual number we have to get is 3. So we are getting minus 2, but the actual result is minus 3. So what we can write is, if x is not divisible by y, okay, so if we just take the magnitude and compare divisibility, in that case this value is 1 more than the correct result. So we are expecting minus 3, but we are getting minus 2. We are expecting minus 4 here, but we are getting minus 3. So in this case, what we'll do, we'll give cout x by y minus 1. So whatever this computation is giving, minus 1 is the correct answer. Now, else, if it is divisible, like in the case of minus 9 by 3, we are getting the correct result. So if we try for minus 12 by 3, we will get minus 4. So if x is divisible by y, we will get the correct result. What we do is, else cout x by y. So is everyone clear with this idea that I have written? Okay. So yeah, okay. Anurag has already got the logic. Cool. So to check divisibility, we have this really nice modulo operator. You might have seen in the previous problem for float division, you had modulus. So x percentage y will for positive x and y, it will give you the remainder when x is divided by y. So positive numbers, the remainder will be positive. So it's well and cool. For negative numbers, it does a slightly weird thing. But then if you get cases like minus 9 and 3, modulus will come out to be 0. If you get something like minus 16 by 4, minus 16 and 4, this is x in this way, modulus comes out to be 0. If mod x is divisible by mod y, then the modulus comes out to be 0. So you can just write, if x plus y is not equal to 0, in that case x is not divisible by y, so you have to print x by y minus 1, else cout x by y. Now we have to come to this condition. Any doubts in the modulo condition? Please raise your hand if you have a doubt. Okay, Param, Nasi, Prasid and Kunal, is it raise hand for the previous one? Or maybe I'll just lower everyone's hands once. Okay, I guess they themselves lowered. Cool. So yeah, I guess no doubts in this checking if x is divisible by y part. For checking sign, one mistake is writing if x by y greater than 0. So greater than equal to 0 because they're non-negative. Now, do you think this is the right condition? If not, give me a counter example. So yeah, okay, and maybe someone has raised hand. Cool. So Prasid, do you think this is the right condition? You can unmute.
I think it is wrong condition, as I have wrote similar code, but
Okay.
it is showing the answer is wrong.
Okay, so for which values of x and y did your code fail? Do you have an idea of that?
I think for between 0 to 1.
Exactly. So if x by y, if we do actual float division, and if this value is between 0 and 1, in that case we will get a wrong result. For example, if we give x equal to -1, y equal to 2, so if you have -1 by 2, what C++ will do is it will make it minus 1 by 2 is 0, so minus 0, which is 0, but in reality this value is actually negative. So division operator is not a nice way to check sign. Instead, what we will do is we will check with product. If both operands have same sign, then result is going to be positive or non-negative. If both have different sign, result is going to be negative. So you can use product to check for the sign of the numbers. So if x into y is greater than or equal to 0, then we output x by y. Else, if x is divisible by y, we have to output x by y. If it is not divisible by y, we have to output x by y minus 1. Right? So any doubts in the solution? Yeah, Prasid, I guess if you don't have doubts, you can.
Hello.
Yeah. Okay.
Abhishek.
Abhishek. Okay.
Yeah. So what will -7%(3) actually give?
So yeah, that's a nice question. This is a nice, you can maybe know what value it gives this way. C++ will follow this x equal to x by y, where y is the division operator, x by y multiplied by y plus x percentage y. This relation will be followed by C++. So for -7 and 3, -7 equal to, we know this value is -2, -2 times 3 plus something, so something will be -1. Yeah, so this will be the value. X percent -10% will be this. Maybe I'll just show it also. I'm using a bit of shortcuts, but I'll tell you what those are later. So -7%. -1. Good. Okay, so we can just even test this code out. So for example, -7 and 3, result came out to be -3. Suppose I give -9 and 3, result came out to be -3. Can do it by submission as well. And yeah, if you submit, you'll get the right answer. Okay, yeah, so got it. So any doubts in the solution? If you have any doubts, you want me to wait for a couple of minutes, so you want to take it in? Okay, will code fail at y equals 0? Yeah, y, so you should not have 0 in the denominator. If you have, it will give you a runtime something of that sort. Okay, yeah, okay. Generally, yeah, when you say flow itself, y should not be 0. But yeah, we'll maybe try to mention it out next time. Okay, so any doubts in the solution, or you want me to explain some part of the solution again? You can you can view my code if you go to standings. It'll come on top over here. So yeah, if you just click on the solution, you can view it. So yeah, if you have doubts later also, you can just ping me. Okay, so with that, I guess we would have got a bit refreshed with if else. So I guess you guys are also familiar with if else if. Are you familiar with if else if? Like writing if, else if, so on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, okay. Who is it? Like, can you?
Anirudh.
Okay, Anirudh. Yeah, cool. So, can you tell me how can I change this code to an if else if thing?
In a sense,
like the exact same code. So what I've done is I've written if and else, and then inside I've written a block, right? So
instead we can just do else if, and then we can do else if. We can move this entire thing up.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, so you can also write the same solution this way. Yeah, cool. So everyone is familiar and fine with this, right? Okay, so no response. I will assume it is fine. Now, if you see, I'm outputting x by y in two cases. So if the sign is if the x by y turns out to be non-negative, or if x by y if x percentage y turns out to be 0, in both cases my output is x by y. But then right now I have to I have put it separately. So it would be nice if there's some way where I can say if either condition A is satisfied or condition B is satisfied, then you have to output this thing, right? So that will be a very nice tool. So if I have, say, the words all itself, if x product is greater than equal to 0, or if x percentage y equal to 0, in that case I want to output x by y, else I have to output x by y minus 1. So if I have a feature like this, it will kind of reduce my code and code looks nicer. So there is a feature like this. Instead of or, the letters or, you put double vertical lines. So you can find it above enter key in your keyboard. So if product is greater than equal to 0, or the modulus turns out to be 0, the answer is x by y. Else answer is x by y minus 1. So when you put this or, there are two conditions here, condition A and condition B. This whole thing is evaluated to true if condition A is true, or condition B is true, or both of them are true. So does anyone have a doubt with what these two double vertical lines do?
So can we use that comma like symbol with the dot?
Semicolon?
Yeah, semicolon. Yeah.
Semicolon where?
In place of the two lines.
No. Semicolon is a statement terminator. So if you want to say, okay, end of statement, you put a semicolon. Okay. This is an operator. So like how you have addition operates on two things, two numbers, right? Similarly, the or operator, you can say, operates on two expressions.
Okay.
You'll have two logical expressions, A and B. Yeah. So here one logical expression is checking this. If x into y is greater than equal to 0, and the other expression is if checking equality. So if either of these expressions come out to be correct, then this whole thing is evaluated to correct. That's cool, right? Who asked that question? Similarly, like or, you also, if you have or, you have to have and as well. So what and will do is, you have an expression A double and B. A double and B is evaluated to true if and only if A is true and B is true. And the symbol for the logical and operator is double ampersand symbol. So this double, yeah. So if A into B has to be true, then both A and B should be true statements. So in this case, suppose I give say -9 and 3. For that, this will be true, but this will be false. So this statement should be executed. You can try that out. Okay, I guess I should probably comment this. So suppose I give input as -9 and 3. In that case, this will get evaluated to false. So you should get x by y minus 1, which is -4. -4 came out. And if you try putting all and submit and code for this, it will be accepted as a correct solution as well. So any doubts in logical and logical or operations? Yeah, so this is called logical and logical. I think you had also seen it in a problem in lockdown. Many of you have done it as well. So this is a quick refresh of this one, and operator, non-operator. Okay, so maybe let's go with a slightly tricky question. N equal to say 5. Greater than 6, no, let's say let's keep n greater than 3. If so, in this case, what do you guys think the output would be? Or maybe no, I'll change the condition to this. Yeah, now.
So suppose you have a number like, let's say 4. So suppose my number, we have actually initialized our number n equal to 5.
Yeah.
So suppose you enter some other number like, let's say 4, the output will be this thing, 6. Since the condition is if n is less than 6 but more than 3, the output will be 6.
But then why do you need
But
to
if
enter 4?
we enter,
We're not asking the user for any number, right? So n is 5 here, that's all, fixed. Like
okay.
when you enter the number, you will generally write C in n, right? So you're saying user give me the value of n. But then I'm not given
Yeah,
this
suppose,
statement.
suppose,
Okay, you're saying suppose I
oh,
give.
okay.
Okay.
Yeah, suppose you give. Otherwise, it will just say, what will it be? It will be 6 only. Since you have initialized n equal to 5, then the output will be 6. If we input the value of n, then it will depend. Am I right?
Okay. Yeah. So let's say I'm not inputting now. What do you think will be output here?
Then it will be 6.
Here. I've changed. I'm going to change.
Oh, you changed it. Then
Ah.
it will be 10. Right?
10. Okay. So 10 is fine. You're fine. Everyone is fine with 10, right? 10 is correct. So you can, because n is more than 3. So it'll go inside. Inside this kind of value is to false. So 10 will be evaluated. Now what I'm going to do, I'm just going to do this. Now what do you think the output will be? Yeah, we have not done it before, but yeah, I'm just playing around with you guys. Let's maybe check by doing it. Okay. Oh, why is it waiting? Okay. So output came out to be 10 here as well. So this if else statement, this whole thing is taken to be like one statement. So even, yeah, so this whole thing gets is treated like one statement, just like one cout statement. So because of that, this whole thing comes under this if statement. Now let's do something. Do you think answer would change now? Yeah, like who is talking to? I'm not sure who I was talking to. So like whoever replied for if you have seen and stuff, or anyone, like I guess anyone can unmute. And what will happen in this case? Okay, Kunal, which case no output? Okay, right now 10. Everyone says 10 right now. It will be 10. Okay, so okay, some people say no output, some people say 6. Okay, cool. So let's go through what happens in this case. So you have if n greater than 3. First thing is in C++ spacing doesn't matter. I just wantedly move this else, this side, so that you might feel it is the else for this if. So this in this problem, basically if I don't indent it at all, the code looks like this. If n greater than 3, and then you have if n greater than 6, you have cout 6, else cout 10. The issue in this case is we don't know for whom this else belongs to. So this else could be for this if or for this if. The general rule of thumb is the else will correspond to the latest unresolved if. So this is if number 1, this is if number 2. Now if number 2 is both ifs are unresolved. Unresolved meaning they don't have an else. So this is the latest if which doesn't have an else. So this else will be the else for this if. So this thing will form one if else statement. So like this. This thing and the one I had before and the one with really bad spacing, all these three are the same. And this is the same as this one. Now I guess it looks really nice. So what do you think the output is? You can just put the output in the chat. No output. Okay, I guess the previous response. So right now the output is 10. Hiran, Anirudh, are you all okay with it? No, okay, so everyone, if anyone has a doubt on why it is 10, so first we will go into this if, and then we will go into this if is false, so we'll go to the else part as a statement, we'll execute it and then come out. Suppose the condition was like this. In this case, it would be no output because this if evaluates wrong, so done. Suppose I had like this also, this and the bracketed case both are the same, so here also you'll have no output. I guess that's clear. Yeah, this format is confusing. So
can you repeat that?
Yeah,
When
sure.
we will have no output.
This case. In this case, n is not less than 3, right? So this is false. This condition evaluates to false. So this whole thing, you won't go into the if at all. And now, even if I remove the brackets, it's the same, because we saw that this else corresponds to the latest unresolved if, which is this one. So these two now form an if else statement together, and as this is one statement, it comes under this if. So this one which I have on the screen right now and this nice formatted one with the brackets, both are the same. Arpit, is that fine?
Without I'm not getting it. Like without brackets, we'll be considering the lower f, right? So in that case, we'll be means the output will be 10. But if we apply the brackets, then we will be having no output.
If we don't apply brackets, this case, right? Now this else will correspond to this if. Okay, yes. This if, right? So this if else together is like one statement. So right. This whole thing comes under this if. So basically with the bracket one, this one and without the bracket one are exactly same. The computer does not differentiate this one and the without bracket one.
But like it should consider like if 5 is not less than 3, then
so now let's say 5 is not less than 3. Okay, maybe we'll change it to get it. So 5 is greater than 3 now. So we are talking about we are fine with the bracket case, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll make it the
no, like I'm actually fine with the second one, but I'm not getting the bracket case actually.
Okay, so this is the bracket case, right? So 5 is greater than 3, correct? So
if 5 is greater than 3, then we go inside the bracket, right? But if it's not, then what? If 5 is greater than 3, then it will go inside the bracket. But if it's not,
it won't go inside this block at all. It will skip this whole block.
Yeah, so then there will be no output, no? But you are saying that output will be 10.
Yeah, no output. In this case, no output. I guess I was shifting the inequality sign a lot of times. In this case, no output. If I have less than sign over here, no output. That's cool.
Yeah, cool.
Greater than sign only, we will go inside the block. And the one with brackets and one without brackets, both are exactly the same. So now why I went through the whole effort of removing brackets, making it so confusing is, you realize that this thing is very confusing. If you have two ifs and an else, it's you have to know that the else will map to the latest unresolved if, and this is also called the dangling if else problem, because if I write it like this, the indentation makes it feel like this else and this if are mapped, but that's not the reality. These two are mapped together. So bottom line is, better to use brackets when I write if else. If you're not using brackets, ensure you take care of this case carefully. So generally when you're going to be coding, you have the choice of whether to use brackets or not. So when you have confusing cases like this, try to use brackets. But then if you don't use brackets, you should also know what the computer does. That's all. So you won't be practically using this in say a combinatorial programming problem, or you won't be asked this in CP. You might be asked it in your C++ course or something, but it's just good to know what happens in these cases. So is this fine? Is this whole confusing if else thing slightly less confusing now? Like I'll share all these codes with you so you'll know which output belongs to which. Yeah.
Yeah, I have a doubt.
Sure.
So like within the second if, let's say we have two statements, like one more say out.
Okay, so you want like this?
No, like within the second if, like if n greater than 6.
Okay. So
and you can put a bracket for that if. Yeah.
6 seconds.
Yeah. So now like if there's no bracket for the outer if, will it still work?
Okay, so you so basically this case, the one I have on my screen, right?
Yeah,
it will work, because this if else thing, this thing is considered to be one statement, irrespective of how many you have in the block. This whole thing is like one statement.
Yeah, okay, fine.
Less than you will see execution. Why is it delayed? 66. So yeah, it doesn't matter how many are within this. This whole if else is like one big huge statement. And again, an interesting
Excuse
thing.
me.
Yeah.
I have in this case the output will be 6 twice, right? 6 will
Yeah,
get printed
6.
twice, right?
Yeah. Yeah, 6.
Okay, thank you.
Cool. So you can also try out different things and play around seeing what happens and what. But yeah, ensure you do the bracketing properly and you know to which statements the if corresponds to which if the else corresponds to. Those two things are slightly tricky if you go for confusing if else. So yeah, that's pretty much about if else. There's also about the division operator. Maybe I'll discuss it in slight detail. So we did a case of integer division where suppose we did 8 by 3, we got the result to be 8 by 3 would be 2. So but then I don't want 2, I want 2.6667. But then I declared 8 and 3 to be integers. Like I gave int a equal to 8, int b equal to 3. So there are different ways of getting the decimal places. One way is you do C out a by b, but then in front you put float. So you write float and close in brackets. And forget about the whole color parts. Color parts is just to make the thing more colorful. I just put random colors. So forget about the coloring part. Just put C out float a by b. So what this does is a is there, right? So float of a is there. A will be internally like a has the value of 8. For the second, for that instant, a will be treated as a decimal. So it will get treated as 8.000. And then 8.000 by 3 would come out to be 2.6666. So is this clear? Is the first CO statement clear? So if you have 8 by 3, if you do float of a by b, basically this float of a is like for this instant consider a to be float. So a is internally treated as 8.0 just for this instant. And then 8.0 by 3, when you divide a float by int, the result will be a float number. That will be 8.0 by 3 will be 2.666. This is one way. Second way is you declare either numerator or denominator as float. In that case, the result will be float. So if you do 8 by 3.0 like a by c, or if you declare a new variable float d equal to 8 and you do d by b, both cases you will get 2.666. Third way is you multiply 1.0 to a. So in this case, what happens is a into 1.0, 8 into 1.0. So you do int into float. Int into float gives you float. So that's the conversion. Whenever if you multiply a float number to an int number, the final result will be treated as a float number. So again, float by 3 will be a float result. So 8.0 by 3 will be 2.666. Any doubts on this? Like this is syntax. So yeah, I don't think there'll be any doubts on this. And don't worry, we'll give you the slides so you can go through the syntax and play around with it in detail as well. So, and then one more thing is relational operators. I guess we have seen this before itself. Just a recap of what different relational operators do. And okay. Then you have logical operators. So you have and, or, and not. So not is the third logical operator. Maybe we didn't discuss it. So what not does is, so if you have not of an expression, so there you have of expression. If expression is true, then not of expression is false. If expression is false, not of expression is true. So if you do not x, if x is false, so generally 0 is false and non-zero is true in C++. So if x is 0, then it is false. Not of false is true. So this whole thing gets evaluated true. If x is a non-zero number, not of a non-zero number is false. And that's the logical not. Any doubts in the logical not? If you feel I'm going a bit fast, you can tell me. I'll maybe go slower in that case. Right? Any doubts?
Yeah, I have one doubt. Why
Yeah.
is there any reason why we are not allowed to use a single and here? Like, does single and mean something else?
Yeah, single hand has a different meaning. It's a bitwise operator. You can search it up, but like maybe not right now. Like right now,
Okay.
yeah, cool. You have single and also has meaning. Single vertical line also has meaning. Yeah, and one more thing, I'll just clarify it now itself. So you have this this operator we use for power, right? This is not power in C++. If you want to find 2 square, don't do 2 power 2. Don't do something else. Do this, a will not come out to be 4. So yeah, don't use this for power. For power, you have to manually multiply and calculate it. There's no shortcut for integers.
So double asterisk also doesn't work.
Asterisk. I have not heard of this. Oh,
No,
is this Python
we
syntax,
use
right?
it. Yeah.
Ah, no, I don't think this works. Yeah, it doesn't work. Invalid type argument. Yeah, okay, so we'll continue. So yeah, so there's something called a truth table. So if you have two expressions x and y, basically given what is x and y, if they're true or false, you're given what x double and y is, what x all y is, what not x is, what not y is. Basically, if both the operands are true, and is true, all is true. If one is true, one is false, and is false, all is true, and so on. So it just gives you the different states so that you can have a good understanding of all and operators. So, no doubts in relational, arithmetic, and logical operators, right? Arithmetic means plus, minus, and all. And relational is this one, and logical is this one. Yeah, sure.
I have a doubt in using equal to symbol. Where should we use that and where we should not use this?
Okay, so suppose you have two numbers x and y, int x and y. If you want to check if they are equal, in that case you do if x equal to y. So if x and y are equal numbers, then this expression comes out to be true. If they're not equal, this expression comes out to be false. So this is the equality checker kind of. But then suppose you want to do, I want to change the value of x to whatever the value of y is. In that case, I do x equal to y semicolon. This single equal to is called the assignment operator. Whatever value the RHS has, it will assign to the variable on the LHS. So suppose if RHS is given to be just 5, the value 5 gets assigned to x. So x will have the value 5 from now on. So suppose you want to check for equality, you can't use single equal to. You have to use double equal to. Suppose you want to do assignment, you can't do x equal to 5. You have to do x equal to 5. That's all. Is clear?
Yes.
Yeah, cool. So yeah, again, like we've enclosed some things that you can try out and check what happens. So yeah, we've also discussed the dangling if else case. So this is another case of dangling if else. Here we didn't have that cout one endl. Here we have a cout one endl. So okay. So maybe I'll just copy paste this code and let's try this one out as well. Yeah. Yeah, okay. So do you guys want to guess what happens here? Like this is the code given to you and what will be the output? N is 4, n is equal to 7, n is 6, 8, 7. Chat's coming. Okay. Yeah, it will do multiplication before division because evaluation goes from left to right in this case. So a into 1.0 will be a float value and then b. Suppose you do say a by b into 1.0. In this case, we won't get the desired result because a by b will get evaluated first. So if a is 8, b is 3, 8 by 3 will be evaluated to 2. And after that, if you do 2 into 1.0, that's not going to give you the right result. Okay, so there are many answers. So I also don't know the answers. I'll just ask C++ to tell me the answer. Okay, it's taking time. So the output came out to be 1C. So how many of you got 1C? I guess yeah, some of you got 1C, some of you got 1. So yeah, again the idea is here this is a single statement and this if has ended. So now you have two ifs. This if has ended. This else can only correspond to this if. It can't correspond to this if because this if thing is over. You have one statement and the if clause is over. If you have to have a corresponding else clause, the else will have to come over here. But then it didn't come over here and there was one statement over here. So you will get this will be considered like this. Now this thing and the one I've written are both the same. This one and the one I had showed you are same. Why you don't use double quote in string? Oh, like this. Are you asking this, Kareem? You can unmute it in chat. Okay, so if I want to output a string, like you said, I will use double quotes. Suppose I want to output something like this, I'll use double quotes. But then 3 is also an integer, so you can also output integers just by putting the integer. Cout integer will display that integer. If I had a string, something like that, then I have to use double quotes. Then if I have an integer, I can output it as a string by using double quotes, or I can output it as an integer by doing the same thing. By just putting the number. Both will give the same output on the screen, just that this means 3 is a string, this means 3 is an integer. So now in this case, like coming back to our question that we had, n greater than 2, cout 1. So n is more than 2, so cout 1 will happen, and there is no else over here, so that's it. This if is over now, dead. Now we have a second if. So if n greater than 6, so n is not greater than 6, so won't happen. There's an else part for it, so we'll go into the else part and display. We'll have 1 and then 3. Any doubts why we're getting 1 and then 3? Yeah, so again, like you saw how confusing this thing is. So the best thing to do in this case is write like this, right? In this case. Okay, so Kunal says clear. Is it same for everyone? Okay, it's not necessarily, so it's like this. Now in this case, this is if and this is an if else. Suppose I put an else over here, else. So what do you think the output will be now? Okay, spacing doesn't matter, but yeah. Would there be an output? What would be the output? Any idea? Okay, Sudarshan says error. Okay, Anurag says 1 3. Okay, Kunal says 1 3. 1 3 still, 1 only. Okay, I'm getting variety of answers. No output. 1 3. 1 3. Okay. Error. Kareem says error. Okay. Okay, so in this case, what happens? Oh, 1 3 4. We have a new answer now. Okay, so we saw that this if is completely over because there is no else that came just after the if. So this if is over. Is everyone clear with that? Even in this question, in any question, irrespective of what comes in these lines, this if statement is over now. Right? So if anyone thinks it is not over, raise your hand. Okay, no one is thinking it's not over.
Yeah, hello.
Yeah, who's it?
Yeah,
Abhishek,
yeah. Like, why can't like the last else
Last if.
correspond to the first if? Because you
So,
said the last unresolved if.
yeah, yeah, that's correct. But then, if you want to have an if, it should come just after it, right? In that case, what we had is this statement we didn't have at all. So maybe I'll just remove this. So we had like this, right? This is how it looked at that time, and maybe this is how it looked. So in this case, we didn't know who this else belonged to, and this if had no statement below it, right? So one possible interpretation of this is it could have been like this. This thing is a statement inside this. So one possible interpretation could have been this one in that case. So this is a possible interpretation, or this is a possible interpretation. So among these two interpretations, we check which was the right one, and this is the right one, because in this case you don't have anything corresponding to this n greater than 2, right? So what we did is we said, okay, the else will correspond to the closest unresolved if, and that's it. And the statement for n greater than 2 was this one. This itself was a statement. So yeah, okay, this whole thing was a statement for n greater than this if. One statement for this if. That is what we had there. Are you fine with the old one? Why for the old one we had that?
Yeah.
So in this case, what we are having is we are having something like this. Okay. So this if already has its statement. Its statement is done here. And if you want to have an else for an if, it should come just after its statement. In the previous case, this was the statement. And if you had given something like this, say, if you had something like this, there what you're saying is correct. Then it will be like this. This will be the statement for the if, and this will be the else for that if. But then, so yeah, if this is the code, this will be the statement for this if, and this else will correspond to this if you can see my cursor, and the code will be syntactically correct. But then in this case, what's happening is we already have a statement over here, and every time your else should come just after your statement, and here just after your statement you have another if. So there is no else part for this if, and this if is already done. Else this if is done and dusted. Now we come to the next if. Next if has an else. Cool, done and dusted. This part is the done and dusted. Now this else is just hanging out of nowhere. This belongs to no ifs. So it's a compile time. Oh, okay, if I give that to compile, yeah, else without a previous if. That is the else itself. So is that fine, Abhishek?
Yeah, it's fine. Thank you.
Yeah, so it could be a bit confusing at start, but like these are not things that you would generally write, but it is good to know what would happen if you end up writing that way. Okay, so I guess someone had raised their hand. I'm not sure of who it was. Okay, Kunal and Arpit and Nitish and Akhilesh, are you fine with why this and another? Okay, Akhilesh, yeah.
Yeah, like so it doesn't treat if else as blocks. So it takes if statements as separate and else statement kind like 2, 3 have been taken as if else, but that first if has been done, so it is done and dusted. It won't come to another like.
It won't come again. So like if can come either alone as a single if, or it can come as if else.
Yeah.
It
so
has an option.
like okay. So this else is not related with that if because it has run successfully. The first
Because this if is over now. You don't have an else clause for the if. If there's an else clause, it must come just after it. It must come like this, adjacent to each other.
Okay.
So okay, they have to be together if they come. Else, there is a single overdone.
Okay, got it.
Cool.
So what will happen if in the starting only we say that if n is less than 2, then will it output anything or will it not output anything?
Okay, so if you're fine with why this else is wrong, right? Like compile error.
No, like if in the starting only, like we remove the last else, like so that we don't have compile error. All right.
Okay, cool.
And in the starting only we do if n is greater than 2.
N is greater than 2. Okay.
Then will it compile anything or what?
It will compile, right? Why will it not compile?
N is no. I mean n is less than 2. Like we have 4, no. So n is less than 2.
N is less than 2. See, expressions can be anything. Expressions don't matter. It will always compile. The code will compile irrespective of the expression.
Will it output anything then?
Okay. You're asking will it output anything?
3, right?
Let's try. So okay, 3 came. So what happens here is in the previous case you had no statement over here. So this highlighted part was the statement for the if. But here you have a statement, this one. So this one becomes the statement for the if, and this is a new statement, separate statement, not in the if. So first what happens is code checks if n is less than 2. N is not less than 2, so this line won't get executed. It'll check if there's an else. There is no else, so end of story for this one. Now there's a separate new if statement, something like this. If n is greater than 6, so n is not greater than 6, this won't get outputted. It will check for the else part. There is an else part. Cout 3 is there, so Cout 3 will happen. Is that fine, Arpit?
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah,
so
it's fine.
Yeah, cool. You can also just try out different inequalities that you want to try as well, so that you have a good idea of what's happening. Okay. So any doubts to those who gave answers that are saying output comes? Okay, cool. I guess no doubts. Okay, so we'll move to if else. Sorry, we'll move to loops. Sorry. So looping statement, the for loop. suppose, I just want to print hello world 100 times, or I just want to print numbers from 1 to 100. So it's not feasible for me to, go and write cout 1, cout 2, cout 3, cout 4 till cout 100. So if there is some way where I can, mechanize the whole operation, say you start from 1 and you print 1, then add 1 to it, print 2, add 1 to it, print 3, and keep doing this until you reach 100. If there is some way I can mention a start point, end point, and what is the increment I have to do, it will be very nice for me. Again, I can tell my computer to do such automated work, right? So we do have something first to help with that. We have something called a for loop. So a for loop, the syntax goes like this. So for, again, forget about the colors, just for your understanding. For, you have something called initialization expression, and then you end every statement, you end with the semicolon. Then you have a test expression, end with the semicolon. Then you have update expression, and you close the bracket. So for, you put 3 statements inside it. We don't know what the statements are, but just we have enough. We have provision for 3 statements, and then you open braces like how you open for if else, and then so there's a comment, loop body side is a comment. So you can just put some whatever statement you want to do inside this loop body. So how does this get executed? First, so when initially some lines would have been above the for, they will get executed. Once you come to for, this initialization expression will get executed. So maybe here I gave for I equal to 1. So maybe I declared an integer variable I on top. I can give I equal to 1 and then semicolon. First, this statement will get executed. Then what we do is we check for test expression. So there will be some arithmetic or some logical expression or relational expression will be there here. We will check that one. If that is true, we will go inside the body, and whatever statements are in the body, we will execute from top statement to bottom statement, as usual how we execute regular statements. Now, after executing all of them, we execute the update expression. So first we initialized, then we checked for test, then we went through the loop body fully, then we will go to update expression. So update expression, it will again be something like maybe increase x by 1, so x equal to x plus 1, or maybe it will be like multiply x by 2, it will be x into x equal to x into 2, some kind of update to the variable. And then after updating, you will again check the test expression. Test, run the body loop, update. Test, run the body loop, update, so on. And you will keep doing this until the test expression comes out to be false. If the test expression comes out to be false, you will come out of the loop. So you can represent the whole thing that I said in a nice diagram. We have an initialization expression. We will first, whatever is it, execute it. Then we will check the test expression. If it is true, we will execute the loop body, and then we will execute the update expression, and we'll go back to test expression. And we'll keep doing this as long as test expression is true. If it is false, we just break out of the loop, and whatever statement we had just after the loop. So here, if you have any statement, okay, yeah. So if you have any statement over here, yeah, if you have any statement just after the curly brace, then that will get executed. So is the structure clear? Maybe we'll, okay, I'll do an example. So let's say I want to print numbers from 1 to 100. So I'll declare a variable int I. Now for, I have 3 spaces. First, I have to give an initialization expression. So if I want to print from 1 to 100, where do I want to start from? I want to start from I equal to 1, right? So I will give I equal to 1. And then when should I stop printing? So what is the condition for termination? I should stop executing this loop or cycle when I exceeds 100, because I want to print only from 1 to 100. So I will give the test expression as I should be less than or equal to 100. And then what is the update expression? After printing 1, I want to print 2. After printing 2, I want to print 3. I want to increase the printed value by 1 every time. So I can do that by I equal to I plus 1. And then I open curly braces, and whatever text I have to put inside. So I can do, I want to print numbers from 1 to 100, so I'll print I itself. See out I, and maybe I'll give ender. So are you clear with this statement pattern? Maybe spacing also doesn't matter, like you don't need to space like what I did right now. It's just a matter of aesthetics. So everyone is clear with what is this? Maybe okay, for demonstration we'll just make it 10. So your code printed values from 1 to 10, each one in a different line because you gave endl after each one. Any doubts? Any queries that you want to ask? Okay.
For update expression, we need to assign I value. We can directly write it as I plus plus, right?
Yeah, you can write it as I plus plus. Yeah. This is correct. Yeah. Give me a second, I'll just come back. Okay, so okay, Karim, whatever doubt you had, was that clear? I hope it was clear. Okay. Clear is clear with what this piece of code does, right? You can do I plus plus as well. No need to do I equal to I plus one also. Yeah, someone has raised hand. Okay. Prasid, yeah. Prasid. Are you there? Okay, I guess maybe just raised my mistake. So okay, so here I wanted to print from 1 to okay, yeah. Prasid, yeah, sure.
I had some doubt how this I plus plus is getting equals to I plus 1.
Okay, so I plus plus and I equal I plus 1. You're having doubt why both the same?
Yeah.
Okay, because the guy who wrote C++ said both the same. That's it. Like I plus plus does the same job as I equal to I plus 1. That's all.
It's just syntax, nothing more
Just
than
syntax, nothing more than that. It's just syntax.
Okay.
So suppose you want to write I equal to I minus 1, you can do I minus minus. And this only works for 1. Like if you want to change by 1, I equal to I plus 1, I equal to I minus 1, only for that plus plus and minus minus works. Just syntax. Yeah. Okay, so suppose instead of printing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, I want to print 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 till 20. Okay. To keep gap between number, oh, I think what I am saying you're saying. Suppose you want to print 2, 4, 8, 16, oh, sorry, not 2, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 20, 10, 12, so on, till 20. So can someone tell me what change I should do in this part? You can just unmute, raise your hand. Okay, yeah, sure. Arvind.
We can say I is equal to I plus 2.
I equal to I plus 2. Okay.
And then
so,
inside the loop, put a condition like an if condition that remainder by dividing by 2 should be 0. Only then it should print.
So you're saying if I percentage to equal to 0, C out, right?
Yes.
Any other change that you want to make? Okay, you have to change this to 20, right?
Yeah,
Because I want
20.
to. And this has to be 1?
It can be 1.
But then, and you want to keep I equal to I plus 2.
Oh, yeah, correct. No?
Should be 2.
Should be 2.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, it should be 2 itself.
yeah, and do we need the if condition then?
I was saying, yeah, you don't need. I was saying my mistake. If we say I plus plus, then we need the if condition. If we say
Yeah.
I equal to I plus 2, then you don't.
We don't need the if condition. Yeah. So one way is we don't give the if condition at all, and that's it. We'll print 2, 4, 6, 8, and so on. Another way, as Arvind said, is we will start from 1 to 20, but then I will print only if I percentage 2 is even, like only if I is even. If I is not, okay, let the loop run, but I won't print the value. I'll give if I percentage 2 equals 0. So the loop will run from 1, 2, 3, 4, so on. But then in the body of the loop, I have an if statement, and that will be executed only if I is even. So I'll print 2, 4, 8, 16, so on that way. In this case, the loop will run 20 times and output will happen only 10 times. But if I go for I equal to 2, I less than equal to 20, I plus equal to 2. In this case, okay, I equal to I plus 2 and I plus equal to 2 both are same as well. So I equal to I plus whatever you want to give, D could be a variable value or so on, and I plus equal to D, both are the exact same, again syntax. And you should not leave any space between this plus and equal to, because it's like one operator. I equal to I plus D and I plus equal to D works. I equal to I minus D, I minus equal to D works. Same for multiplication and division. So you can do this one. In this case, the loop itself will run only for 10 times. So yeah, that is one thing that you can do. Now there is one more thing that you can do. Here I declared I outside. But then what if I just want a variable which I want to use in the loop only, and after I use in the loop, I don't care what happens to it. So one thing that I can do is, for I can declare the variable itself here. For int I equal to 2, I less than equal to 20, I plus equal to 2. In this case, I can use I only within the for loop, like only in lines 6 to 9. If I give cout I endl over here, I'll get an error. I was not declared in the scope. If I declare I in the initialization statement of the for loop, in that case, I will become a variable which I can use only within the for loop. I can't use it before the for loop, I can't use it after the for loop. Right? So is this also clear? So, yeah, I plus equal to 2 can also be used. Yeah. Okay, yeah, Saivani, that's also a nice one. You can do, if you want to print numbers 2, 4, 6, 8, so on, you can go from 1 to 10 and you can just do I plus plus and print cout 2 into I. This also works. Yeah, I guess Anurag and both have said the same. So yeah, so everyone is clear with these things. Now there's one more thing. These are 3 statements, right? You don't compulsorily need to give them. You can just leave them as empty statements. So maybe I can do something like this as well. Suppose I want to print from 1 to 10. I can do the initialization over here itself outside the loop and give nothing over here. Just give semicolon, meaning empty statement. In this case also, we will get numbers from 1 to 10 displayed. I can also do something like this. I'll give I plus plus here and I will skip the update expression. I can also skip the test expression. What will happen here? Like, what do you think in this case will happen? You can just raise your hand, just put it in the chat, I guess. That would be great. Answer. And what value would it output? Yeah, so it will be an infinite loop because there's nothing to test with, so it will always be true and the loop will keep going on. We can try doing that. Hopefully my computer won't crash. Yeah, okay, yeah. It'll just keep going on. I guess now in 18, 20,000 something. So yeah, it'll just keep going on and it'll print from 1 to infinity. So one thing you have to be careful while using loops is ensure there won't be an infinite loop. So yeah, I guess you're a bit familiar with for loop now. And yeah, we also have that for loop example. And I've also described the statements. Okay, so let's okay, so someone, okay, does we print negative number? Meaning, Prasid, can you, I couldn't get what you said for this one. You can unmute, Prasid. Are you asking if I goes to negative after the point, or are you asking, oh, yeah. If you want to print negative numbers, you can do that. For I equal to 0, maybe I'll just give I minus minus. If you do I minus minus, you can get negative numbers. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So Arvind and Anurag, whatever test condition you want to give it, and then give I minus minus instead of I plus plus. And the update statement, you can, if for I minus 1, so you can write like I equal to I minus 1. That also works. Now that we have a decent idea of what a for loop is, let's try to write a program that takes an integer as input, so int n, cnn, and you are given that the user has already told you that n is greater than 1. I want to check if n is prime or composite. Oh, your mic is disabled. I think it's enabled. Okay, then can you just put it in chat? Like, are you asking? Okay, I'll say something. Just tell yes or no. Are you asking if what Anurag and Alvin said? Like, can we print negative numbers for I? Just type yes or no. Okay. Okay, then maybe we'll resolve it out to what? Okay, yeah. Yeah, okay, yeah. So then in that case, yeah, what Alvin said will work. Instead of I plus plus, you can do I minus minus. The update expression need not be just something like I plus plus or something. It can be I equal to I plus 1. It can be I equal to I plus 5. It can be I equal to 2 into I minus 7. It can be I equal to j plus 8 into k. It can be any arithmetic and logic expression that you want. I just gave I plus plus because in that case there is only one variable. If you have a question where you require multiple variables, you can have an update expression that is just any regular C++ assignment expression or increment expression as well. Okay. So given an integer n, we have to find out if it's prime or not. So how can we find if a number is prime or not? So yeah, someone can you just raise your hand? It's a simple question, but like, sorry. Okay, is everyone AFK? Okay, so how do you check if a number is prime? You guys should know this. Okay, at least someone put on chat. Or am I not audible? Modulo till its square root. Yeah, that is a good option. You've already gone to the using percentage 2. Percentage 2 is it always 2 or you have to check with other numbers as well? No factors beside 1 on itself. Yeah, that is the basic definition, and yeah, I was looking for that only. So if a number is prime, it should have no factors. Okay, yeah, find mod normal less than half the number. Yeah. So by definition, prime number should have no factors beside 1 in itself. So if I check from 2 to n by 2, if the number has no factors, then it's a prime number, right? Okay, cool. So maybe I'll just pick out someone. Okay, Arvind, can you unmute? Arvind S.
Hello.
Yeah. So can you help me write a program that will tell me if n is prime or not? So if yeah.
Okay, so first you have for int I equal to 1.
1.
I less than or equal to n by 2.
By 2.
I plus plus.
I plus plus.
If n modulus I not equal to 0.
Not equal to 0.
See out.
See out.
I is the prime number.
I'll just say prime. Okay, that's it.
If you want the number, then we have to see out I also. Like say prime
yeah, that's
number.
right. Like right now, I just want if n is prime or composite. I don't want the factors. Say. If n percentage I is 0, C out prime. That's it. So in which case will it be composite? Like suppose I want to know, given a number, user must know if it's prime or composite. So I'll either have to output prime or output composite. So where should I output composite in that case?
I think you can put an else statement after the for loop, right? And then
after the for loop or inside the for loop. You can't put after because the if block is inside the for. So saying yeah, else.
Yeah, else here and then see out composite.
Okay. Right. So this is what you're saying, right? Let's test it out. Yeah. So say let me give a number. Say I'll give 6. 6 is composite, right? So saying composite, composite, composite. So I got composite verdict thrice. Okay, so let's try 8. 8, I got composite, composite, prime composite. So isn't there a small issue in what you have written? Like, can you figure out why I'm getting so many primes and composites? Arvind? Okay. Arvind, are you there?
Yeah, I'm there. I'm
Yeah.
trying to figure it out.
Okay, okay, cool. So basically you put it inside the loop, right? So every time you run the loop, either this will get executed or this will get executed, right?
Yes.
So say for example, when I'm going for something like 8, first I will check if 8% one is not 0, 8% one is 0, 8% any number is going to be, say, something percentage 1 is always going to be 0. So in that case, you'll get output as composite. Then I go for I becomes 2. In that case, you're checking 8% 2. So that is coming out to be 0. So again printing composite. 8% 3 non-zero. So you're printing prime. 8% 4 0. You're printing composite. But then just because 8% 3 is prime, 8 yeah, you get what the issue is, right? Okay. So Akhilesh, can you? Yeah, cool. You're fine. You've got the issue, right? Can you resolve the issue?
Yeah, like
yeah.
What is happening is we should not check for every time when n modulus I not equal to 0. We need to just count these cases. So we can instead take a variable like int c before the loop.
Int c.
And when this condition of if satisfies, we can just increment.
Okay, so here I have to do C++. Okay, not a point. Just increase C by increase and not equal to 0 or equal to 0?
Wait, equal to 0.
Equal to 0. Else, do you want to do anything for else?
You can remove the else part.
Okay. So in this case, and you want to start from 1 to n by 2.
Yeah.
Okay. Then after this,
we can write an if statement afterwards. If c equal to 2, then it is prime. Can just print. Yeah. Then else you can write not composite.
Are you sure of the code?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll give a trick number. I'm giving 49. Foreign came out to be prime. Or maybe let me give 7.
Okay, probably we can run it till n. Yes.
Okay. So in this case, 7 gave me prime. Okay, looks like some change happened. 49 composite. Yeah, so basically you should have two factors from 1 to n. So
yeah,
if you go to n by 2, so that is the issue. Yeah, so basically what Akhilesh did is he made a variable. Okay, by the way, one more thing. This will work in code blocks, but you didn't initially see the 0. You have to do this now. Yeah. So in code blocks, luckily, a lot of times variables get initialized to 0.
Yeah.
But in reality, it did not happen that way. Variable can have whatever garbage value it has. So always ensure you initialize whenever you're doing some increment like this to a variable c. Ensure you initialize it to whatever value you feel appropriate.
Yeah,
because
my bad, I forgot.
Yeah, that's fine. Like it happens a lot of time with everyone else, so it's absolutely fine. But like just ensure that you always initialize it, because there are many times when your code will run in code blocks correctly, because code blocks initializes to 0 most of the time, but it won't run in code forces. Code forces won't do the same thing. Okay, so what Achilles is doing is he's making a variable c. C will count the number of factors of n. So we'll go from 1 to n, and if n% I is 0, then I is a factor of n, so I will increment c. If the number has only 2 factors, it is prime, else it is composite. And we are given n is greater than 1, so we don't have the case of 1. So is this code clear for getting how a number is prime or composite?
Yes, it's clear.
Clear, cool. So clear everyone, right? Okay. So in this case, I am running, the loop runs for n times, right? Because I goes from 1 to n and increase in steps of 1. So is it possible I can make the loop run for a shorter time but get the same result, like get the same correct answer? Someone had mentioned in the chat as well. So whoever had mentioned, can you unmute and tell me? Okay, it was Shubhan, right? Okay, Sai Vineet has also said the same. So Shubhan and Sai both said, instead of going from 1 to n, okay, n by 2 is an option, but we have something better than n by 2 as well. You can just go till square root n. So instead of checking if I is less than square root n, I'll check if I square is less than equal to n. That is actually square root n takes a little amount of time, so I'll now use I into I. This will check if I square is less than equal to n. So what I can do is I can start from 1 or I can even start from 2. Starting from 2 is better. I go from 2 till square root of n. If there is a factor for n, then if there is a factor between 2 to square root n inclusive, then C is composite. If there is no factor, C is prime. Okay, okay, Shubhan, that's fine. Yeah, I guess there is some issue with Teams, so that's fine. Like your logic was correct. Like you can just check till square root n instead of checking till n. So everyone agrees this code is correct, or is there any issue with this code? Should I change some small thing now? Because if I run this code now and I enter 7, output came out to be composite. So is there something that I have to change? If C equal to 1, okay. C equal to 0, some different people have told different answers. I'll check 7, composite, C equal to 0. 7. Yeah, okay, I changed I to 2 by the way. I guess those who told 1 didn't notice that. So if I'm going from 2 to square root n, it should have no factors. If I'm going from 1 to square root n, then it should have one factor. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, Param, you said float. I didn't get what you meant by float. We just need to go till floor of square root of n. We don't need to go like anyway. I is a natural number, na. So, cool. Even if n is 50, root 50 is actually a float number. But then I just need to go till floor of root 50. So yeah. So this also works as a nice way to find out if a number is prime or composite. Now again, like here we are doing lesser operations, but say if I want to check if 2 power 60 is prime or composite. So in this case, it has a factor 2, but then I'll have to go from 1 to 2 power 30. So for some special numbers like these, where the first factor is very small, is it possible like the moment I find the factor, I want to just stop the loop? Okay, how to define an initial condition so that n can, okay. So what one can do is, you can do like this. If n greater than 1, you put this whole thing that we wrote in a inside a for loop. Else, you can display whatever you want. Else if n is 1, you know what to do. So if n is 1, you can write something. And then else if n is negative or 0, you can say, hey, it's a negative number, or hey, it's a 0. Primacy not defined for that, something like that. So you can do that with a simple if else statement. Okay, so how, yeah, I guess Sai that should have replied to your question. Okay, yeah, some of you have said break statement. So what I want to do is, if I have a number like 2 power 60, the moment I encounter its first factor, I can just say it's composite. I don't need to go through all factors till root n. So what I can do is, the moment I see the first factor, I can say I want to stop the loop. So for this I want to stop the loop, there's a keyword called break. So what I can do, I can just do C++ and I can do break. What break does is, the moment you encounter break when you're going through the loops, add one more. Okay. Okay, that is true, but I'll come to that later. So the moment you encounter, a factor of n, you do C++ and you break out of the loop. So when you say break, the moment your computer encounters break, it will just stop loop iterations there itself, and like it will execute line 14, then it sees line 15 break. Even if there are some statements here, line 17, line 18, okay, that is not. Even if there are statements over here, it won't execute these statements. It will directly go to line 20. It will directly go to line 20. Even these statements will be skipped when you give break. Break will break out of the loop at that moment itself. And so I had wanted to ask, can you do it without break? But then he then told the answer. What we can do is we can add one more condition, that I should check as long as I have not found a factor. So as long as I have not found a factor and I into I is less than n, I should keep running the loop. So I can just change the test condition to this. I into I less than n and C should be equal to 0. And in this case, I don't need break. So are both methods clear? Using break and using C equal to 0 over here. So in fact, you can break is not an essential statement. You can do whatever you wanted to do with break just by modifying the test condition as well. But then it's a very handy tool. Like instead of changing test condition everywhere, you can just put break whenever you want to break, and it's nice. That's all. Okay, so Alvin, has it clear? So everyone clear, right? If you have any notes, don't hesitate to raise your hand and ask the doubt, right? Okay, so yeah, Palam.
Yeah, the break statement should be written in the if bracket, right?
Yeah, within the if only here.
So if we write the break there and the condition satisfied, then it will break out of the for loop itself.
Here you're saying if you enter this if, it will break out of the for loop. Yeah, you enter this if means this will get executed and it will break out of the for loop.
Okay, and what would happen if we write the break statement in the for loop but outside the if bracket?
Here.
Yeah.
So what do you think will happen? Like given you know what the break statement does, it will immediately break out of the loop. So what do you think will happen? So you will start with the initialization statement. You will check with this one. Then we'll execute line 12. If line 12 is true, you'll do this, else you won't do. After you come to line 16, so you'll break. So the loop would have just done one iteration and you'll break. So
okay, yeah, got it.
So it's as if this whole thing wasn't there.
Yeah,
like int equal to this is needed, but it's as if you just checked for 2 and you just came out of it. Yeah.
Okay, got it.
Any other doubts? Okay. Does break, pass? Okay, I'm not familiar with pass, but continue works. So because of the time constraint, I'll not go through continue explicitly in the session. I'll give you code snippets after going through which you can understand what continue does. I'm not sure of pass. I have not used pass, so you can check it out, I guess. Okay, so everyone is clear with how for loop works and how break works, right? Okay, so I guess I had mentioned, yeah, break, and I've discussed break. Continue, I've put it in the code, and like I put it in the slides, and you can go through that. And the last thing that I wanted to discuss for today is the while loop. So we had a for loop. A for loop, intuitively makes sense when I have a starting point. So for that I have initialization statement, and then I have an ending point. I have the test expression, and I have an update statement. So I have to do things in steps of 1, maybe, or steps of 2, or steps of k, some number k, right? So in that case, for loop is naturally intuitive. So suppose I want to go for I want to print 1 2 3 4 or 1 3 5 7. Their for loop is very intuitive because I have to start from some number, I have to end at some number, and I have to keep incrementing in constant steps. It need not be constant, so we can even do like I equal to I into 2, and this will print 2 4 8 16 and so on, but still the stepping pattern is constant, right? But then if I don't have a constant kind of update expression, in that case, and I just want to do something as long as a condition is true. So If I want to keep executing a set of statements, just as long as some condition holds, so it's like while some condition is true, I want to keep executing some statements. So that's the while loop. How a while loop works is you just have a test expression, while of test expression, and then you have a loop body. So first what we'll do is when you encounter this line, this test expression will be checked. If it is true, the loop body will be executed and you go back to the test expression. If it is false, you go to the statement just below while. So it's like a very simple version of for. You don't have initialization, you don't have update, you just have test expression. If it is true, loop body will get executed. If it is false, it won't. You'll just skip out of the while loop. Right? So actually, like if you can any code which you can write using a for loop, you can write using a while loop and vice versa. Because a while loop is just a for loop without update and without initialization and update expression. So they're not very different, but in some cases it is more intuitive to write the code this way. In some cases it's more intuitive to write the code using a for loop. So any doubts in the syntax? Yeah.
Can you please explain this while again, because the internet connection just got cut and all.
Okay, no problem. So in a for loop, you have three statements, right? You have initialization, you have test, you have update, right?
Yeah.
Now what I'll do, I'll just click update. I'll click initialization as well, and I'll remove the semicolon. So now I'll change for to while. This is a while loop, that's all. While test expression, you can write whatever statements you want in the body. So your body should have the update expression. Update expression should be present in the while loop's body itself. Else you will get an infinite loop. So that's while loop is that's all. You just have while, as long as some condition holds, whatever you write in the body of the loop will get executed. That's clear?
Okay.
Yeah, so it's a very it's like for loop is too big. I just cut it starting and ending. That's all. So you find with what a while loop does, right?
Yeah, also you written there means C out is directly means without writing C out, you directly wrote there C++ and it executed. How?
Why do you have to write C out there? Here.
Yeah,
Here,
means
right?
we if no in the down if n divided by I is not equals to 0, then curly brackets, then we directly wrote C++.
C plus is basically
So here
C
we
equal to
should
C
write,
plus 1.
I didn't get it. Like
Okay,
we
this
are,
one and this one are the same. That is fine, right?
yeah, it's fine.
Now this is an assignment statement, right?
Means we are
Assignment
saying that if
statement.
this happens, then apply this condition. Means
Yeah, so
then
if
test
n
this.
percentage I is 0, increase C by 1.
Okay,
So
okay.
we don't want to output the value of C. We just want to say if n percentage I is 0, increase C by 1. That's all. So this is an C equal to C plus 1 is an assignment statement. Whatever is present on the RHS, I will evaluate it and then store it in the LHS.
Okay, got it.
Cool. So now the same code. Okay, Arpit, can you know the code we wrote, right? We wrote how to find if a number is prime or composite. This code, can you tell me how to write with the while while? Let's forget about break for now. Can you write the same code with while loop?
I can try actually. That's all the best I can do.
Yeah, cool. That's fine. That's fine. So yeah, I'll just keep the for as well on top for reference.
So while and then we'll be writing like yeah, we'll be first we'll be taking the square root only. So I means I multiply I is less than equals to n.
Then it is n.
And then we'll be checking if if n the same condition, like if n divided by I leaves remainder of 0, then we'll be moving on to the next number.
Yeah.
And if not, then if like just the noun condition we wrote, no? Like if no, like else.
This one.
Yeah. If but we didn't define C and
Basically, this exact loop I want you to write using while. That's all. Like this part will just be after it, like after the going through the loop.
we have to means we have to define C also, no? Like like
C is defined right
we have
now. So assume only
okay.
this part got commented. So assume only this part of code didn't exist, and this part of code we have to recreate using while. So n is there, C is there, they're all declared. Okay, I also will declare. We have to declare I also because I was declared here. It was declared over here, so we have to declare it before going to the while loop. Yeah, this fine now.
Then I guess yeah, it works. I guess.
That's it. Nothing to fill here. Do you want to write an else part?
Like we can just else no, just leave it.
Okay,
like it will work.
That's it. So if I run this right now, I should get the answer, right? Do you think? Don't you think we should increase I? Initially I was 2, then we'll check 2 into 2 less than n. We'll check if n percentage 2 is 0. We'll do C++. We'll go back to test expression. 2 into 2 less than n. 2, go back. 2, 2, go back. 2, 2, go back. You get something called dash.
Just I'm actually getting so confused about it now.
Okay, so you're fine with this one, right? How this works? How this lines 9 to 15 work? So first you gave int I equal to 2. This will get executed only once, just when you start the loop, and after you can forget it. So that's what we did. We gave int I equal to 2. Then we have test expression. We kept the test expression here. And then we kept the body of the for loop here. In for, what happens? After executing the body, you execute the update expression. Right?
Okay.
You execute the update expression. But for while, we don't have provision like that. This is not there in while. So what do we do?
And we can write in else. We can write that we'll be moving to. Yeah, right. If it's do, then we are done. And like if it don't do, then we'll be moving on to the next number.
Okay, saying else I presume. So if it is a factor, but still let's I want to know the number of factors from 2 to the 10. Say that is our goal. So if you say we are done, then you have to give a break statement over here, right? Because else you will be stuck in an infinite loop. Because if you don't give break over here, say 2 is a factor of the number, so and n is 4. So I into I is less than equal to 2 into 2 is less than equal to 4. 4% is 0, so C++ happens. Then again you go back, same thing happens. Again you go back, same thing happens. So we should always increment I, irrespective of whether it's a factor or not. That's what we didn't fall also, right? We checked the if condition here. After that, irrespective of whether this got executed, we did I++. Right?
Yes.
So we'll just take it from here and paste it over here.
Yeah. Means conditions all will be applying also, but it's just like in a simple format we are applying.
Yeah, exactly. So basically, this we are cutting and pasting outside the loop. This we are cutting and pasting at the end of the body. That's it. So is that clear? Is both for and while clear?
Yeah.
Okay, it could be a bit confusing. Like again, these code snippets will again be given to you. You can go through them, and you can even see like, okay, what is the value of C after every iteration? You can display C and check what is happening. You can display I and check what is happening. Like right now, because of time constraint, I'm not doing all those, but you can, at different points put C out I and see, okay, what happens to I at this place. So you can check out stuff like that, right?
Yes.
So that way you'll also get more clarity on, okay, what is happening to I, in what order these statements are getting updated and so on. And like how you had said if there's one factor done, right? So similar to that, I can also break out, right? I can give break like how I can for loop. The moment I see break, I will exit out of the loop, because the moment I have a factor, I don't need to check more, right? I can just say,
Yes,
okay, with
yes,
that itself, I can say it's primal composite. So I can just give break. Right? This break part is cool. Like it's fine, right? Or like how Rishabh had said, I think, I'm not sure the name. I can give the condition as if I didn't find a factor yet. Instead of giving break, in the while loop, I can give condition as either I into I is less than n or I haven't found a factor yet. This does the same thing as well. Because once C gets incremented, the test condition, like you'll execute the whole body. Once you come to line 25, you'll go back here. C would be 1, so you'll break out of the loop. Right?
Yeah. Okay.
Cool. So like, is it could okay? Vinny, you have a query?
Yeah, I just wanted to say something. So, like again, guys, these things won't become clear like at the first time you would learn them. It would have not become clear even to us. You get the syntax and how it understand properly only when you solve the problems and only when you will implement them yourself. So right now, just try to understand the structure, try to understand it briefly, try to play with them yourself, solve the problems, and try to do stuffs and all yourself. Only after that and with time, these things would become a bit more clear. On the first day itself, you won't get it completely. You would always have some kind of queries. Okay, what happens if this and that? So just try to play with them. Right now, just try to understand the structure and how it can be used. We'll provide you slides. Using them, you can just do that same thing again on your computer, on your system, and try to play with it and solve the problems. With time, it will become much more clear with you. So right now, don't hesitate if you have if you're not able to get it completely. Just try to understand the structure, and if you have some queries, feel free to ask it. But it's completely fine if you don't get it properly. That's my point. It would become much more comfortable with time.
Yeah. Just try to get an idea of what is going on. Okay, so this statement gets executed, then this is going. Once like you try that, write the code yourself, you will get, it will become a kind of intuitive, or you will begin to understand, okay, so this is how it works, so this is how I have to write code, and this is how the flow of control goes in the code. Yeah, okay. So any doubts you guys have? Again, like whether you want to use a for loop or whether you want to use a while loop depends on your which one you feel comfortable with, and and which one seems more intuitive to the question. So essentially both are the same thing, you could say. If I just keep these two arguments in a for loop, it becomes a while loop. But sometimes a while loop may feel more intuitive, like if my goal is as long as I have not done this, I'll do a while loop. But then if my goal is something like a step-by-step process, it is intuitive to use a for loop. Okay, so Nirmal, okay, generally a general tip for when you get, you get the correct answer in code blocks, but you get a different answer in code forces, check if you have initialized variables correctly. For example, here we initially missed c equal to 0, but then we got the correct answer because in code blocks, junk value generally tends to be 0. So you're getting c got initially 0. But then that's not the case in code forces. Code forces can have random junk values like this. If you don't initialize a value before using it, like suppose like a counter or something, we have here c counts the number of factors. You have to initialize the number of factors to 0 and then do the counting. If you don't initialize, it could be an issue. Take care of that. And if you want to debug, you can even use code forces as custom invocation. So here you have this option called custom invocation, and you can execute the code over here. This is basically like what code forces is using to test. So you give input, output, and stuff, and you can check out here as well. Yeah, that is it. So okay, everyone is a bit has an idea of what a for loop is and what a while loop is, right? Okay, so before, okay, man, maybe there's a puzzle called the chocolate puzzle. So I'll not discuss it right now. You can take it like a take home something. You can just try it on your own. But I'll discuss one maybe place where a while loop is very intuitive to use, and that is, so let's say you're given a number n. So you're given 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is the number the user gave to as input, and I want to know how many digits are there in this number. And so guaranteed that the user gave a number which is greater than 0. I want to know the number of digits in the number. Any of you guys have an idea of how we can implement this? Okay, someone has raised hand. Okay. Okay, I think Vineet, if you have an idea, I'm not going to allow you to tell. So, Palam?
Hello.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's say you have 1, 2, 3, 4. How will you do it?
Initially we'll I guess x modulus of 10, x modulus of 100, x modulus of 10,000 till the point where it is I guess division is equal to 0.
Okay, so you're saying first you will find n percentage, like not percentage, you'll find percentage or division? N by 10 or n percentage?
N by 10, I guess.
By 10. Okay, so you'll check. So first you'll do n by 10. So in this case, n by 10 will come out to be 1, 2, 3, 4. And then you're doing n by 100. That comes out to be 1, 2, 3. And then you're doing n by 1000. That comes out to be 1, 2. You're doing n by 10,000. That comes out to be 1. Then you're doing n by 10 power 5, which will give you 0. So you will keep doing division process until?
Till it becomes 0.
Till it becomes 0. So would you like to code it up? Like you tell me and I'll just write the code.
Okay, yeah.
So what do you think would be an intuitive thing to use here? A for loop or a while
loop, I guess.
While loop, yeah, because like here you have to keep doing something until some condition is not satisfied. So would you like to do any declaration before that, like some initialization statement?
Yeah, I guess I'll define a variable to count the number of digits.
Okay, so int c equal to initially you want to give it a value
0.
Okay, so while what would be the while condition?
While n by 10 equal greater than 0.
Greater than 0.
Oh, no, wait, not 10. Define another variable and then at the end we'll.
Okay, so let's say maybe I give power of 10. That's the variable you want, right?
Yeah.
So what is the initial value you want to give it?
10.
Okay. And while?
While n by that power of 10.
Power of 10 is greater than 0, right?
Yeah.
And what is the operation you'll do?
C plus plus, I guess.
Plus, okay.
Yeah.
And then, do you want to do anything more?
No, I guess that's it.
That's it? So, initially power of 10 is 10.
Yeah.
If n by 10 is more than 0, you're doing C++.
Yeah.
And then, again you go back, n by 10 is more than 0, C++. N by 10 is more than 0, C++. So, infinite loop. In this algorithm, you said?
Sorry. So, yeah. I guess n by 10, n equal to n by 10.
Yeah, you can do n equal to n by 10. That is a nice one. Yeah. So now, do you need, so you're doing n equal to n by 10. So let's try counting C.
I guess it will give an answer less than the number of digits because we have.
So can you do some modification to that? Do you want to do C plus 1 or do you want to change something else?
C equal to 1 initially.
Okay, C equal to 1, right? Let's just test it out. Code box is a bit slow. Pi came, okay, that's nice. 6 came, that is nice. Maybe let's try a single digit. 1 came. So yeah, this code is correct. So one more thing we can do is instead of giving power of 10 and all, we can just remove the whole thing and put C equal to 0. Power of 10 is 1, so you can just remove the whole thing. Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, I'll explain what this code does. Initially, we are setting C. C is the digit counter, number of digits in the number, and we are setting it to 0. So while n is more than 0, so if n is more than 0, I will cut off the last digit from n. So basically 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 became 1, 2, 3, 4 in what he said, right? This is the tower we made. So I will cut off one digit from n. So n equal to n by 10, we'll do integer division, and integer division by 10 is equivalent to cutting off the last digit. I will cut off one digit and then I will do C++. So C means the number of digits I have cut off. So I have cut off one digit. Now again n is still non-zero, I will cut off another digit. N is still non-zero, I will cut off another digit. N is still non-zero, I will cut off another digit. N is still non-zero, I will cut off another digit. Now if I cut off this digit, n becomes 0. So all the digits in n have been cut off. So C will be equal to the number of digits in n. And we are doing this process until all the digits are cut off. Once all the digits are cut off, n becomes 0. So the while loop condition is while n greater than 0, I am cutting off a digit and I am incrementing my C. C out C. So is everyone clear with this code? The code, the logic is like kind of intriguing, but the code for it is like very simple. So any doubts? Thanks, Pam. That is a nice logic, getting the first try as well. Okay, so any doubts in this code? Why it works? You want to try out some number, you think maybe it does not work here. So the initial idea that you get is like what he said. So first I'll check if it is less than 10 or less than 100, less than 1000 and so on. And same thing you can do by just cutting off a digit at every point. Is this clear? Any doubts in this code, or you want me to explain the whole thing once? Okay, no doubts, I guess. Okay, chats and things. Clear. Okay, Nitish has said clear. So clear. I'm gonna assume it's clear for everyone. Okay, so I guess I've already gone 17 minutes extra. So shall we wrap it up here, Vinny?
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, the chocolate problem, I guess, like I'll just give it to slides and they can solve it.
Yeah, I guess that should work.
Yeah, so last call for doubts. Any doubts? Okay, so I guess then I'll okay, someone yeah, I guess I'll wrap it up, and I think this will be your last session before NSIMS. So yeah. So all the best for your NSIMS, guys. So yeah.
All the best for NSIMS, and thank you for attending.
We'll give a problem set based on loops, and you can do it whenever you're free. So yeah. All the best for NSIMS, guys. Take care. Bye bye.